Hello and welcome to this updated video guide for completing Sohr Khai in Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. My name is TSDS and in this video you'll learn everything you need to know to pass the test. This dungeon will take around 15 minutes to complete, so let's take a look. Right at the start you'll find a locked gate. You must kill the 2 passive cube monsters to open it up. On the other end of this trash section you'll find another closed gate with 3 cubes, so kill them too. One thing to note here are the 2 enchanted fan enemies. These things look quite literally like fans. Once they die, their bodies will turn into trampolines, and if you stand on their corpse you'll shoot into the air and receive a sure haste buff. This doesn't really matter for anything, but if you're in the middle of the fight and you find yourself falling with style, this will be why. Anyway, open that second gate and you'll reach the first boss line. The first boss is Chieftain Moglin, which is pretty nice if you're fed up of him giving you the runaround. Shortly into the fight, 3 additional Moogles will join, including Captain Moglin. The Captain will link himself to the Chieftain, causing the boss to become invulnerable to damage, so kill him first. It's worth noting that the Moogle adds have so little health that as the tank, I wouldn't overly concern yourself with picking them up. Just drop them when they come in and go back to the boss. With the adds down, the boss will start casting Pom Praise, putting a purple circle underneath each of the downed Moogles. Target each of the defeated adds and attack them to knock them backwards out of the purple circles. Any Moogles still inside a circle when Pom Praise is cast will get revived. Before the end of the fight, more generic Moogles will spawn, but you can usually just ignore them and focus down the boss to finish the encounter. The only other mechanic to mention is Demonical Mogcane. This spawns a spinning Mogcane somewhere on the field. After a short amount of time, it explodes in a plus-shaped AoE like Bomberman. You can ignore it, it doesn't really matter. With Moglin down, jump into the little tornado behind to move to the next area. The immediate trash here consists of 3 buzzards followed by 4 eggs further up the path. In the high likelihood that you're grouped up with some new leaves, kill these buzzards first and then go to the eggs. When you pull the eggs, they start a shortish cast before they hatch. If you take them on their own, you can probably kill about 2 of them before this happens. The reason I'm bothering to point this out is because the cockerels inside deal all of their damage to everything in front of them and hit non-tanks for well over 1000 damage. This makes this pack of trash a bit hairy, so tanks should be sure to face them away. Immediately after this group you'll find a big Anzu bird, 3 hatched cockerels and another big Anzu further up. If your tank is not aware of how these mobs attack, expect high damage on your group. The big Anzus were critting my white mage for almost 2500 damage, which is a quarter of my total health. Anyway, with that little bit of trash covered up, we arrive at the second boss line. The second boss is My Little Pony. An important thing to note here is the narrow path in which you fight the boss. As the tank, pull Frisco and position yourself so that either end of the pathway is directly behind you. The healer and DPS should go behind the boss exactly in the middle. The reason for this is Burning Bright. This cast from the boss shoots a line AoE at a random player. If the attack targets someone so that the line AoE hits one of the walls on the side of the pathway, that wall section is destroyed, revealing a patch of AoE. By positioning ourselves so that either end of the path is always directly behind us, if you get targeted by Burning Bright, the AoE won't hit a side wall. At several times during the fight, the boss will jump into the air and out of view. After a short time, a proximity marker will appear on one end of the pathway. Just wait for a moment to see which end it appears in and then move to the other end away from it. When the boss lands, a section of wall is usually destroyed. Immediately after this, Frisco makes a line proximity AoE down the path. The way this works is that you'll take more damage the closer you are to the middle of the line. What's important here is that the attack also knocks you backwards. This means when this attack appears, move yourself so that when you're thrown backwards from the center line, you'll fly into a wall section and not an open patch of AoE. If you stand directly in the middle, you'll get a bigger smack and a stack of vulnerability. As you may have worked out, this is why we position ourselves carefully with Burning Bright to avoid having too many destroyed wall sections. The last mechanic to mention here is Cloud Call. This marks a random player with this purple indicator. When cast, a storm cloud appears above the target's position. This cloud will frequently AoE around it, applying vulnerability. It's not that big of a deal, but just don't stand in it. If you're the tank and you get hit with Cloud Call, just pull the boss to the other end. With the boss down, continue on your way killing everything you find. Shortly after, you'll encounter 2 Holy Wyverns. When one of these dies, a Blizzard Dragon appears and AoEs a chunk of the platform, creating a path for you. Push on by jumping onto the little whirly things when you see them, and you'll reach the final boss. The final boss is Horace Vilga. The first thing you should notice here is the encounter environment being broken into 9 small platforms with tons of little whirly thingies. Moving into a whirly thingy will move you to the adjacent platform. You can start the fight by moving onto Horace Vilga's platform or smacking him at range. Note that his hitbox is pretty huge, so it's not too difficult to hit him as melee even if you're not that close. Now then, for mechanics, the first thing you'll see is the boss taking off and doing a large line AoE. This covers a good 2 platforms, so just run into a whirly thing to jump somewhere safe. Horace Vilga will use this quite a few times during the fight. The boss will also cast Diamond Storm, which is just group damage. However, this will also spawn some ice things on some platforms. These come in 2 types. The smaller Holy Sprites can be targeted and slain and just attack whoever's on their platform. The larger balls of ice will drift towards random players and explode on them, applying heavy. This is generally ignorable too, but as the healer, expect some random group damage and keep an eye out for some debuffs to remove. If you jump on a platform with a Holy Sprite, just kill it and focus back on the boss. The next mechanic to cover is Holy Breath. This is a sizable blue AoE spam on a random non-tank. Just move away from it or jump onto another platform. The last mechanic occurs towards the end of the fight and involves the boss summoning 2 large gold dragon heads. These heads will drift from one side of the area to another and deal constant damage to anything they touch. To be honest, these are super easy to avoid, so just jump to another platform if you see one coming. Pop a Limmy when it's ready, and GG. And that's Sohr Khai. If you've enjoyed the guide, then let me know, and if there are any other guides or perspectives you'd like to see, then check out my channel or feel free to ask me to create one. Thank you for watching, and good luck. As a side bit of trivia note, actually, the line AoE from Horace Vilga used to destroy platforms in this fight, so back in the day, that was kind of a soft enrage because you'd just be losing space. But that's been fixed or tweaked, so it doesn't happen anymore. But there you go. Trivia. Wow.